Yo, yo, sit down. Sit down, sit down. Shalom, everybody. Just waiting for the paper to get out. Everybody. We're gonna have to steal your mic. Who's reading? Who's reading? Somebody reading? Okay. So somebody's got a note paper. It's got some extra scriptures on it. I think it's Caitlin. Some handwriting on there. Yeah, it's a bonus round, right? Excuse me, y'all. I'm a little sinusy, so I may sound a little Barry Whitish. So forgive me. So the title, walk with command. Stop settling for demons. Walk with command. Stop settling for demons. Okay? So keep that in mind as we go through. There's a definite difference between being in command and being under demands. A definite difference. And the enemy wants us to operate counter of what we are called to be in. Okay? And he uses things to get us in a place that is vulnerable and we're susceptible. So as he was dealing with me, I got the paper. So, all right. So you know how I like to define things. I like to know. We think we know what stuff means until we look it up, and we find out we acting under stuff that ain't really what we supposed to be acting out. That's why I like to go look stuff up and make sure I'm saying what I'm supposed to be saying. What I'm saying is really what I want to say. You know what I mean? Not what I want to speak over myself. You know what I mean? So we're going to define some things, all right? So go ahead.
Demand. In Hebrew it is darash, to resort to, frequent a place, and seek counsel, or heathen deities, or necromancers.
Yep.
Demanding is quite similar to commanding on the surface.
So hold on. So I don't want us to skip by that real quick. So,
Demanding.
okay, yeah, you can get it. No, I'm gonna. So demand. In English, it seems, you know, like I need what I need. Like, give me what's mine. Right. But this is why I like looking stuff up in Hebrew, because it's really the origin of the word, especially in the life that we live. So when I looked it up, like I said, I don't want to breeze by this. It means to resort to frequent a place, and seek counsel from, you can seek counsel of heathen deities or necromancers. So when you demand something, you're operating under another god. It's going to make sense in a second. Go ahead.
However, when we demand something, we are operating in survival mode. The source of demanding often stems from a place of insecurity.
So think about it when you demand something from someone. Right? You feel like you don't have authority over them. So in a last resort, I demand that you give me this, hoping that they'll give you whatever you ask them. Right? And think about it. If you ever have done that to a person, or done that in general, you hope that you get what you ask for. Keep reading.
Thus, requiring the audience to answer the question, we cannot resolve ourselves. Demanding is coming from a place of weakness and is uttered from a person who has no authority.
Right? So think about it. If I make a demand of you, that means I don't have the authority to make the demand. If I was in command, I operate in my given authority to ask for something. And I know it's coming. If I demand, I'm hoping it's coming, and I'm hoping that you are scared enough of me to give me what I ask for. So think about it. Just put it in perspective. Who makes demands?
Robbers, kidnappers, rapists, con men, failed politicians.
Everybody makes demands, and they're usually coming from a place of not power. They don't have power to get what they're asking for.
Demands are made on your time, your money, your skill set, your compliance, and most often you are comfortable with this demands, but you comply because you feel you have no choice.
It's a typo. It should be you are not comfortable.
You are not comfortable. Okay. And most often you are comfortable. Most often you are not comfortable with demands, but you comply because you feel you have no choice.
Right. Example. Comcast sends you a yellow bill, and they demand $600. And you look at the bill and you feel all sweating. You start sweating when you're looking at it, right? And you ain't comfortable with it, but you pull out your wallet and pay it. Right? They demanded it from you. Now we hear Dad talk about it all the time, which you laugh, but it's true, right? That how did they have the authority to charge you for something that's free? Right? Water bill. Water, it rains, right? How they charge you for it? Right? But you get letters in the mail monthly demanding payment for something that's free. And you pay it because you feel like you don't have a choice. Robber. Somebody rolls up on you, says, give me all your money. They're not entitled to that money. They demand the money from you. And you do it because you feel like you're under duress. The enemy puts that framework around us all the time. We do stuff because we feel like we're under duress. And he comes to us in that manner because he does not have the authority to take it from us. So he demands that it come from us. Okay? Clear? Now let's look at command.
Command. The Hebrew word is tiam. Strong's number 2942. Wisdom, decree, accountable, discernment, judgment.
So notice the two different words here. Command, demand. Command, demand. Command is a noun. Demand is a verb. Demand is action. Command is a thing. It's an establishment. It's something that you hold. It's tangible. And this is why I like this. You know, if we go back to our education days, right? A noun is something that you live with, something you look at. Command. A noun is not just actions, but it's a thing. So, to have command is to have, what does it say? Wisdom. To have command is to be accountable. To have command is to have discernment. To have command is to have judgment. Which differs because command entitles you to have judgment. When you have command, you have ownership. When you have command, you have a responsibility. And it's not just simply asking for what you want, but you're entitled to what you need. Make sense? Read the next paragraph.
Commanding is displaying an authoritative presence that compels an audience to pay attention. Commanding is imposing will
Demanding.
on
Demanding.
demanding. Demanding is imposing will onto others to validate an insecurity in efforts to obtain control, a person or situation in which you are not authorized to operate over.
Okay? Does that make sense? So if you are in command, say you go into a situation, somebody says, who's in charge here? You go into, you got a complaint, you go in the store, let me talk to a manager. Somebody calls you on the phone, you don't like what they're hearing, let me talk to your representative, your management. Because if we think about life this way, we would always not take what comes to us first, but let me talk to management. But what we fail to understand is we are management. We feel like we got to take everything that comes to us at the first run. When Yah's put command on us. Go to learning to walk.
Learning to walk with command is a process. What follows isn't a checklist of items for you to mark off or a how-to manual. No, each of the following components are interdependent on each other, building upon its predecessor.
Okay? So I asked when I saw this, all right, so, okay, you gave me command, all right, so I shouldn't demand. So what do I need to do to know when I'm in command? And this was a problem I had at work, too. Like, they gave me a management role, and, you know, they just kind of threw me into it, right? So I'm like, listen, I don't think I need to make the decision here. I think, you know, I need some help. They're like, oh, well, we support whatever you do. I was like, but that ain't really what I wanted to hear. I'm like, you need an answer here. He's like, well, just decide what you want to do. And I'm like, well, that ain't what I wanted to hear. I need you to tell me what to do, right? And we do the same thing, right? Like, if this is really you, God, make that light flash. Like, I think I know what you're trying to say here, but, you know, if you really do that, like, go ahead and make this happen here 4 times. Or, you know what, if I get the chance again, I'll do whatever you told me to do. And in general, there's an accountability problem with the body. Right? To have command means you're accountable for whatever you decide to do. And nobody wants the accountability, which opens them up to demands. A lot of this is because we don't know who we are as believers, as bodies, right? As people who work in the kingdom. We don't know who we are. We don't know what kind of authority we have because we ain't read the manual. You know, when you start a job, you sign all these papers, right? And then they give you a code of conduct that nobody ever reads, right? Right? I remember a couple of jobs I'd started. It was like 10 pages. I was like, am I done yet? Like, why are we still here? I'm signing this. Okay, this is this, sign that. Okay. Like, you never read it. And then, you know, if they want to fire you, they reference that stuff, right? That you didn't know that was there to fight against, right? But we never read the code of conduct to know what authority we have to exercise. So the enemy works on us through the lack of knowledge. And he can demand things from us because we're gray in the code of conduct book. We don't really know if it's there or not. It sounds like it might be there. It don't really feel right, but all right, here you go. And we live in this space all the time. Do the second sentence there. Knowing who you are.
Knowing who you are is a means you know your strengths as well as your limitations. Oftentimes, we focus on either one or the other, or the weaknesses in others. However, it is imperative you understand both ends of gift and calling. Ego is the #1 killer of a great believer. Know your capabilities.
So this is true. We will focus on what I don't have, or what I should have, or what I don't know what to do, or how big this thing is in front of me. We don't focus on the power that I have in me to get around, chip through, or address a problem. We just focus on the problem. No matter how that problem comes to us, we focus on that. And we make that problem bigger than y'all. And we even make that problem bigger than the authority and power that Yah has given us to address it. And then we complain about it every week. You slobber on the floor a little bit. I'm tired. Would you never know that you have been given command to address whatever is in front of you? But again, it's an accountability thing. That takes work. And we don't want to work through our problems. We want, Pop, Pastor, to work through it for us. And he good. I'd be like, this is like the 15th time you said this to me. So I'm hanging up now. That would be my answer, right, when people call me, right? Well, he good with that, right? Pray for me, right? But imagine how y'all feel. Every situation is the same. It may look different to you, but it's the same at the core. And at the core is you don't know what's in you. Keep going. Where we at? Luke. Let's read Luke 10 and 19. Remember those bonus round scriptures I was talking about? The ones that ain't on you? Yeah.
Remember, I have given you authority, so you can trample down snakes and scorpions. Indeed, all the enemy's forces, and you will remain completely unharmed.
That sounds like you got authority to me. But we complain every week about this snake came up to me, they didn't say hi to me, they don't like me on my job. I've said some of this too, right? Probably a couple weeks ago on film, right? But we concern ourselves with things that are under our feet already. There's a scripture, and I can't remember the exact place, but it says the questions they ask don't deserve an answer from you. So we constantly involve ourselves in stuff that we don't need to be involved in. We submit to demands. What's the thing the country says? We don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't negotiate with terrorists. We do. All the time. Keep going. The next scripture is 2 Chronicles 20 and 15.
Okay.
And 15.
He said, listen, all Yehuda, you who live in Jerusalem, and King Jehoshaphat, here is what Adonai is saying to you. Don't be afraid or distressed by this great horde, for the battle is not yours, but God's.
Don't be scared. The one thing I would say now is we have the power within us. So he's going to fight. We got to fight using him in us. That's another cop-out that we use, right? The battle is the Lord's, it's the Lord's. You know, the whole big song about it. Nope. If you don't fight, you're going to die. Romans 8 and 31.
Romans 8:37.
37, excuse me.
Okay. No, in all these things we are super conquerors through the one who has loved us.
Okay? So no matter what you see, no matter what comes up to you, no matter who talks to you in any kind of sideways mouth, right? Talk, what the old people say, they talk out the neck, right? I never understood that either way. Side of the neck or side of your mouth. Like, I never, like, whatever, right? But they talk at you crazy. You don't have to deal with all that because you know the answer already. I mean, yeah, I get that a movie is interesting if you don't know the middle. You know the end, right? Most of the time, you're like, well, I don't really need to see all that. Dad always spoil the end of movies. Be like, I'll be saying improper use of gift, trying to throw penalty flags, right? Questions. Is the orange mic on? We got a power problem. I thought I heard it. Well,
Okay, so that scripture really says, if you are obedient to me and follow all my laws and commandments, then you'll win that battle, right? Because it's saying, what was it? The one that Debbie just read. Yeah, no, in these things we are super conquerors through those. Right. No. That was the battle is not yours. Yeah, but if you, no, it was the one after that. Yes. I wasn't in. It was the one that you read that said, like you can do all, I think it was something like,
I've given you the authority. You can trample down snakes and scorpions. That one?
it wasn't about, because that's when we said, no, it is. And then we said another one. I don't know what it was in my mind.
more than. You talking about Luke? You talking about Luke? Or you talking about Luke? Luke 10 and 19. So, and I think we limit ourselves just by being the norm. Like, okay, that's at a baseline. Like, okay, conquerors is the minimum. Because if you say more than a conqueror, you can at least expect to conquer. Right? So we think about barely conquering. We think about, okay, let me push this 3 steps down because I know I ain't going to win now. I'm going to win a little bit later. Right? We struggling trying to be conquerors. But we can't wrap our mind around conquerors you shouldn't even be thinking about because it's already won. So you need to think about what else is past conquerors. Think about it. If you know, okay, let me make it monetary. If you know you get paid $1,500 a week, you know for a fact you get paid $1,500 a week. You are guaranteed at least $1,500 a week. You ain't worried about $1,500 a week. You worried about $2,000 a week. Because you know your base pay is $1,500 or $15,000, $1,500, whatever I just said, right? You know what you're getting on a weekly basis. Now you're trying to make more than what you're supposed to make on a 2-week basis. And this is what I'm saying. We stuck in, okay, they told me this, but I don't really know if I'm really getting this, so let me work real hard just to get this right here. You working real hard to get minimums. When minimums, it says you at least getting this, and you probably will get more if you think about more. So, I mean, me, if you say, I'm getting this, I ain't worried about that, because it's already written, it's done. I'm worried about getting more. And that's where we get stuck at. And like I said, the enemy puts us in a minimal mindset. And when you in that minimal mindset, you in survival mode. And then demands seem like the right thing to do. You become vulnerable to that. This is the example. Yep. More. You striving for less because you feel like that's all you can get. Go ahead. Mike. I'm up here today.
What if you're striving for more and it just seems like you got a roadblock or whatever?
I think you're capable of more than you think you are. I can use my example. Like, I was put into a position. Well, it was like you can do this or you can do that. And I did that because that was on paper better than this. Makes sense. That was better than this. But there was no rails with this. There was no bumpers. Like it was just you doing this. All right, good. And when you get into this, it makes you think in a different way than you thought with that. Make sense? So you can't take thinking that into this. You understand what I'm saying? So Dad taught us something a long time ago. Live there, here. So when you start looking for more, you can't think about less. Does that make sense? So when you get to more, think about more. Don't think about less trying to get more. Feel me? You had a question. I'm going to walk to you. Because we know you.
We need to learn how to, maybe we need to get more education. You know how to go to the next step to get the more. So we can't get more just thinking about it, but it's like we got to actually figure out a way to get to the more. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Another thing that we limit ourselves on is I don't know what it is. As black people, we think we ain't supposed to ask questions. I mean, yeah, we ain't slaves no more. We are. I mean, we could go a whole different way with that. You know what I mean? But I make the parallel that the workforce of my parents is not the workforce of me. So, I mean, you get taught that hard work, dedication, loyalty to a company is the way to go. You be there, they'll take care of you. No, it's not, right? That was true 60 years ago. Now you get what you need to get from where you at, and when you hit the ceiling, you move. If you don't move, you will be unhappy. And they don't care, right? They don't care at all. Either they'll fire you or they'll let you be unhappy until you quit. So I say that to say we think we get into a job and we don't quite know how to do the job. We think we stuck because we can't ask questions, ain't nobody gonna help you. Nah. You can work with whomever you are reporting to define exactly what I'm supposed to do. Don't leave it open-ended, don't do nothing. We need to know exactly what we're talking about. But I see a lot of, and this is just me, this ain't no spiritual revelation, nothing like that. I see a lot of people in the upper 40s, 50s, who've been in a job for anywhere from 6 to 20 years, right? And they don't ask questions, they just do whatever they're told. It might be more than what they're supposed to do. They're like, yeah, it's fine. And they get stamped, they get trampled, stomped on. And then they set a new benchmark. Okay, they do this amount of work. And yeah, it might be more than what they asked, but this is the normal now, so now we're going to ask for more. And I mean, that's the way it goes, because, you know, yep. And that, not saying that there's dedication to a company is bad, not saying you ain't supposed to be loyal, I ain't saying that. I'm saying there's a balance that you need to have. And if the balance becomes more than what one person is capable of, I mean, naturally, like, oh yeah, you destined for greatness, you can do great things or whatever, but it's only 40 hours in a week, right? If you got to work 80-hour weeks to keep your job, then something's wrong. So I got off on a tangent, but that's what I'm saying. Yep.
50 and 60, your mind frame is that I ain't got too much time to live, so you just tell me use the time I got. So at that age, you can't be flying around it.
Well,
Because
I would challenge you to say, yes, I understand the thinking, because stability is what the mindset is. I've been here, it's stable, I know
not
what
only
it is.
that, but people discriminate with age.
Yeah, okay.
So when you at a place that's keeping you, so you got, you stay there.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, but you are 34, so you can afford to fly around and do this. At this age, it's different.
Well, this is what I'm challenging you. Our age won't wait until we're 50 to move. Yeah, I get it. That's why I'm saying the workforce of me is different from the workforce of you. Not you and me, but you know what I mean? The generation gap.
I think going back to that one he said in the beginning, or when he came up, was I think our mindset, or you hear the voice of the world stronger than you hear the voice
Yes.
of
Yes.
yeah. So that is why we can't be more than conquerors, or we feel that we can't be more than conquerors, because the world is telling us, which ties right into what you guys are saying. I was always taught that you have to be better than in order to be even looked at in a certain way.
Yeah.
And my experience is I have to be 3 times better, not just based on what I was trained. So I think part of the difference is experience and maturity.
Mhm.
You know, what you've walked through tells you that no matter how hard I work, I'm still just that person they're quote-unquote tolerating, meaning they will benefit from your services. They will give you accolades when needed. But when it comes to, if they have to, this has been my experiences. I can just speak to my experience. I can't say that this is for everybody. But it's not always fair. You know, decisions that are made are not always based on hard work. They're not always based on who's doing the right thing. Sometimes they're based on who's in power and who's my friend that's in power.
Yep.
Sometimes they're based on stereotypes.
Yep.
If a particular type person says something, we believe that over if just me or anybody, even if I'm there for 20 years putting in time. So sometimes people submit to lack of stress and or knowing who you are. So I know that if I continue to fight with you and you already have a certain mindset, that equals to nothing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't even care about, you can be replaced. I just need you because I don't want NAACP coming here asking me why my whole you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, that's the
Exactly.
only reason why I need you. Because, so you can be moved. So some of that is that resolve of, because I literally went through this week of, this is not my battle. I cannot change this man's mindset. And it wasn't even me, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And you know why people begin to put their head down and just do. Because there's no resolve.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you say we couldn't ask questions and we're not out of slavery now, this was last week. I'm 44 years old in a school, and I better not ask questions, because when you do get questions, for one, you get smacked in the face, and or it becomes worse than what it was. So it was better for me just to say, oh, maybe they don't understand, come up with my own excuse and keep working and enjoying myself, versus you literally come to me like, I don't really care what you think, and now I have to deal with that and work with you and act like it's okay. So sometimes asking questions reveals the real truth that you already know, but you really don't want to have to face, because you have to live there.
And
work
sometimes
there.
you need to face it to move on.
You can move on. I think it's the other result. I think it's what we were saying first is you need to live in.
Yep.
You need to live in your authority.
Yep.
So my authority says whether you like me or not, I still win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the key. I don't need to keep challenging you, because this earthly thing, you ruling, kind of. Like if we were to look and match up, you have the upper hand in terms of authority in this earth right now, or in this environment right now. So it doesn't make sense for me to counter it. But I know in the spirit and who I am, I have authority.
Exactly.
So my work needs to be done not at that desk, but on my knees or wherever you stand, lay down, walk, because I know that. But if I don't know that, then I'm always downtrodden. I'm always, and I'm always unhappy, and I'm always frustrated, and I'm always mumbling with the other classmates or, workers. You don't do nothing for me, because now you're speaking those things.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute you come out of place, and I think that's where we are as a race, we've come out of our place, and we've allowed the negative things to continue to happen, and we've stopped fighting because we don't know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have anything to fight for.
And that's the key, and that's what I want to make sure. In everything you just said, I want to make sure that we know who we are. We don't stop fighting. Hold on 1 second. I just want to make a point. I see you. That I was in a position, and I'm going to say it, and I ain't going to post the video, right? But I was in a position where, I got to post the video? Okay, all right. I was in a position where I had to learn to challenge authority, my boss authority, and let him know that I did not like his decision, and it did not work for what I was trying to do. But if you want to do it, you go ahead and do it. I did that 4 times in that specific diction. Like, I said it that way. And he was like, fine, I'll do it. And I was like, okay, go ahead then. So he knew I'm exercising my authority in the position you put me in, and if you want to overstep it, then that's your job. But I would say we, in career and in spirit, we can't just look, tuck our heads, and continue to do. We have a position, whatever we function in, whatever y'all function in, right? Most of us in here are prophets. We have a position, and we need to voice or exercise the voice that comes with our position, right? And that's something we don't learn on how to exercise our voice in our position. You can do it respectfully. You can do it. You ain't got to burn down churches, right? You ain't got to, you know what I mean? You can do it, but at the end of the day, authority still, whatever the structure of authority is, it is what it is. Okay? Go ahead.
I can relate to her because I work for this company, and I had old men. I ain't gonna call them say what it was, but it was older men who has a thing about. I was told I was smart. I knew too much. I was told they gave my job, part of my position, to another individual. That individual got up and left, and then they want me to take and then they want me to correct her mistakes. And I said, no, I wouldn't do it. Because it was mine in the beginning. Why would you give it to someone else and you didn't know what her work was like? I understand what she's saying, but I thought it of myself. Just like they said something to me, I said, I came looking, I go looking. And that's the truth. What they did was they gave me an outdated computer. I'm going to tell you, they gave me an outdated computer, and all my work was always on time and accurate. But this computer wasn't able to handle the workload I put into it. So that's how they got rid of me, because they said it wasn't balanced. So it wasn't my fault, but I didn't argue because I know my authority. I don't much care about because I knew how I came up. If I had to go back and do the things that I did and keep moving up, I knew my authority. I know who I was in Christ, number one. And I also knew who I am as a woman. And during that time, I was extremely didn't like that. I talked to you about those children. But anyway, I didn't care. Because I also knew if I had to hustle, I hustle. Do whatever I had to do, because I don't allow, even in the spirit, when I get bold, it's me. It's the spirit in me. If somebody step on my toes, I may not say something, but they come back and do it again, I'm going to say something. Because they're doing it out of my authority. They're trying to get, and I try not to, but I agree with you that. We have to learn our authority. We got to learn who we are, and that take authority, and not allow people keep constantly just keeping us. It's like ASPS, ASAP. They come tell me that. What you mean? What does that mean to me? Do you want it now, or you want it at my convenience? So I understand you got to ask questions, because if they said at my convenience actually mean they want it now, then if I don't do it at my convenience, then I'm in trouble. So I'm gonna ask, what do you mean by that statement, ASAP? You want it now or later?
Let's move to the next one. Know the power of sacrifice.
When the enemy or anyone demands something from you, there is no power in it. Therefore, when people carry out the rituals mechanically without corresponding faith and uprightness, the prophets condemn their sacrifices as worthless.
So, I say that to say, when you give out of a demand, there's no power in it, and there's no reciprocation to it. It comes out like a tax. Like, I mean, yeah, you can say there's benefit to taxes, but really it goes like you get in there. You know what I mean? Or you could be in an offering and somebody come up and say, listen, you're going to get a new car today if you give it $1,000. You just lost $1,000. Right? and, I mean, don't get me wrong, some people got a ministry to raise, and some people here, there's spiritual meaning behind what they do. You know what I mean? So I ain't going to take that from them. Right? But, that's backed up with you feeling the spirit at the same time. Right? Yep. Yeah. The one to talk, right? Yep. They took up an offering for dad to get a car, and they wanted to talk or whatever, and it's a nice thing. Like, we ain't see none of the offering. People was up giving money. It was fine, right? We ain't never see it. But, I mean, like I said, some people got a ministry for that, some people don't. So, you got to use discernment there. But I'd say a sacrifice versus a ritual or repentance from a demand is totally different. You're rewarded for a sacrifice. You just lost that because you're from a demand. And you feel the loss. Okay? I mean, there's some scriptures here that talk about it. We can go to Isaiah.
next week.